Most people don't know this, but there are creatures in our oceans that scientists can't even explain. We've only explored 5% of our oceans, meaning 95% of what's down there is still completely unknown. So think about that. We've sent people to the moon, but have no idea what's lurking in our oceans. Last year, scientists found something so strange in the deep waters that they couldn't even classify it. Some of these creatures look so alien, you wouldn't believe they're from Earth. And the craziest part? The 11 creatures I'm about to show you are so rare and mysterious that some have only been seen once or twice in human history. Imagine finding a shark with 300 razor-sharp teeth, or a fish with a transparent head where you can see its brain. These aren't made-up stories. These are real creatures living in our oceans. And the deeper we go, the stranger they get. What I'm about to reveal about these sea creatures will make you question everything you thought you knew about life on Earth. Some of them are so bizarre, they were once thought to be myths. Ready to see the most mysterious creatures ever found in our oceans? Let's dive in. 1. The Colossal Squid. Let's start with the Colossal Squid. This is an absolute monster of the deep. We're talking about an animal that can grow bigger than a school bus. Scientists found one that weighed over 1,000 pounds, making it the largest invertebrate ever discovered. These giants live in the freezing waters near Antarctica, hiding in the pitch-black depths where normal creatures wouldn't survive. But here's the creepy part. They have the most enormous eyes ever found in the animal kingdom. I'm not exaggerating when I say they're the size of basketballs. Just imagine that for a second. Eyes as big as basketballs, helping them spot prey from insane distances in complete darkness. But their hunting technique is what's terrifying. Their tentacles aren't just normal tentacles. They're armed with sharp hooks and suckers. These hooks can rotate 360 degrees, ripping apart any prey that comes too close. The crazy thing is, we've only found a handful of these creatures, and most of what we know comes from studying dead ones that floated to the surface. 2. Anglerfish. Let me tell you about the anglerfish. And trust me, this might be the weirdest creature you'll ever see. Down in the darkest parts of the ocean, this fish does something that seems impossible. It literally fishes for its food, using a glowing rod attached to its head. Think about being in complete darkness, and suddenly, you see this tiny light floating in front of you. That's precisely how the anglerfish tricks its prey. It's got this built-in fishing rod that dangles above its massive jaw, glowing like a tiny light bulb. But when other fish come closer to check out this light, snap, they're done for. But here's where it gets even weirder. The female anglerfish is like a monster compared to the male. While females can grow as big as a football, the males are smaller than your pinky finger. And the mating process? It's like something from a science fiction movie. The tiny male bites into the female and fuses with her body, eventually becoming nothing more than an attached sperm factory. Yeah, you heard that right. He becomes a permanent part of her body. Scientists have found that males have wholly merged with females, losing their eyes, fins, and brains. Talk about a complicated relationship. 3. Frilled Shark. Here's something that will blow your mind. Imagine finding a shark that hasn't changed for 80 million years. That's the frilled shark, and it looks exactly like its ancestors from the time of dinosaurs. Scientists call it a living fossil, because it's like looking at a creature that time forgot. But wait until you hear about its teeth. This shark has 300 needle-sharp teeth arranged in 25 rows and pointed backwards. That means once something gets caught in there, there's no escape. It's like a living trap designed to ensure nothing slips away. Even other sharks stay away from this thing. The weirdest part? It doesn't even look like a regular shark. Its body is more like a snake's, with a strange collar of gills that looks like a frilly dress, where it gets its name. And spotting one? That's incredibly rare. Most of these sharks live about 4,000 feet underwater, so we barely see them. One Japanese fisherman nearly had a heart attack when he pulled one up in his net. He thought he'd caught a real sea monster. These sharks are so rare and look so prehistoric that every time someone spots one, it makes headlines worldwide. 4th, giant oarfish. Remember all those ancient stories about giant sea serpents attacking ships? Well, meet the giant oarfish, the real creature behind those legends. And trust me, when you see one of these, you'll understand why sailors thought they were facing monsters. These things can grow to 36 feet long, longer than a school bus. But here's what makes them super weird. They swim straight up and down, like a floating ribbon in the ocean. No other fish swims like this. Imagine being on a boat and seeing this massive, silvery creature standing vertically in the water. You'd probably think it's a sea monster too. But here's where it gets exciting. In Japan, people believe these fish can predict tsunamis. Locals think a big earthquake or tsunami is coming whenever multiple giant oarfish wash up on beaches. And the crazy thing? Several oarfish appeared on beaches just before the massive 2011 tsunami in Japan. Scientists rarely see these alive in their natural habitat. Most of what we know comes from dead ones that wash up on beaches. And when they do wash up, they're so long and strange looking that people often think they're looking at an alien. 5. Megamouth Shark. Here's something crazy. We didn't even know the Megamouth Shark existed until 1976. Think about that. While we were busy inventing computers and sending people to the moon, this massive shark was just swimming around, utterly unknown. And when I say massive, I mean it. These sharks can grow up to 18 feet long. But that's not even the weirdest part. Unlike most sharks that hunt with their teeth, the megamouth is like a giant underwater vacuum cleaner. It swims with its huge mouth open, filtering out tiny sea creatures like a whale. Imagine a shark with a mouth you could practically park a car in. But here's the mind-blowing part. We've only seen less than 100 of these sharks in all the years since we discovered them. That's fewer sightings than there are in episodes of most TV shows. Some scientists spend their whole careers without ever seeing one in real life. The ones we have found look super strange. Picture a shark with puffy lips, a rounded head that seems too big for its body, and a mouth that takes up most of its face. It's like nature tried to create a cartoon character but made it real instead. 6. Giant Isopod. You know those tiny roly-polies you find in your garden? Now imagine one the size of a house cat. That's the giant isopod, and it's a massive underwater cockroach. But don't click away yet because this thing gets even weirder. These creatures are like the vacuum cleaners of the deep sea, eating anything dead that falls to the ocean floor. And when I say anything, I mean it. From dead whales to the leftovers of other sea creatures. They're not picky at all. But here's the crazy part about their eating habits. They can go for up to 4 years without eating a single bite of food. That's not a typo. 4 whole years. Their armor-like shell is so tough that it can withstand the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. We're talking about the pressure that would flatten a submarine. And just like their tiny cousins, they can roll into a perfect ball when threatened. Imagine trying to scare a bowling ball with your legs. The weirdest thing? Scientists once put one in an aquarium, which was barely moving for days. These things are like living tanks to which someone forgot to give an energy drink. 7. Barreleye Fish. Meet the Barreleye Fish, and get ready because this might be the most bizarre thing you've ever seen. Imagine a fish with a completely transparent head, like it's wearing a glass helmet filled with jelly. And yes, you can see its brain through its head. But that's not even the craziest part. Its eyes, which glow bright green, can rotate up and look straight through its transparent skull. Think about that. It's like having eyes that can look through the top of your head. These eyes are like built-in night vision goggles, helping it spot prey swimming above in the pitch-black deep sea. Scientists couldn't figure this fish out for years because whenever they caught one, its delicate transparent head would get crushed. It wasn't until they used special deep-sea vehicles that they finally saw one alive. And guess what? They discovered something nobody expected. This fish can steal food from the tentacles of dangerous jellyfish without getting stung. When people first saw footage of this fish, many thought it was fake. I mean, come on, a fish with a see-through head. But this is 100% real, living proof that truth is stranger than fiction. 8. Goblin Shark. Meet the Goblin Shark, a weird creature that scientists call a living fossil, because it has barely changed in 125 million years. But its ancient history isn't even the strangest thing about it. This shark has a trick that looks like something from a horror movie. Its jaws can shoot out of its face like a spring-loaded trap. I'm not kidding. Its entire jaw launches forward, grabbing prey that thought they were at a safe distance. Imagine thinking you're far enough away from a shark, only to see its whole face suddenly stretch out to grab you. And that pink skin? There's a crazy reason for that. The shark's skin is so thin that you can see all its blood vessels underneath. That's why it looks pink. But don't feel bad for it. This weird pink color doesn't matter because it lives so deep in the ocean where it's pitch black anyway. When it hunts, it uses its long snout like a metal detector, sensing the tiny electrical signals that all living things give off. Once it finds something, bam! Those spring-loaded jaws shoot out faster than you can blink. Most of its prey probably never even sees it coming. 9. Bigfin Squid. Let me tell you about the Bigfin Squid, a creature that looks so alien. The first time scientists saw it on video, they thought their cameras malfunctioned, but what they were seeing was real. Picture this. Tentacles that can stretch up to 26 feet long, with weird elbow-like bends that make them look like creepy puppet strings. These tentacles are so long that if this squid floated above you, Its arms could reach down from a 3-story building and touch the ground. And the way these tentacles move, they spread like spokes on a wheel, creating what scientists call the phantom position. Here's the spooky part. We have almost no idea what these things do with those massive tentacles. Whenever we spot one on deep-sea cameras, it's just floating there, arms stretched out like some underwater ghost. Scientists have only captured this thing on video a handful of times, leaving them with more questions than answers each time. The craziest footage came from an oil rig camera that spotted one just hanging in the darkness, its tentacles perfectly straight down, like something from a nightmare. We still don't know what they eat or how they catch their food. 10. Black swallower. Let me introduce you to the black swallower, a fish that completely ignores the laws of physics when it comes to eating. This thing can swallow prey that's 10 times bigger than itself. And no, that's not a typo. It's like a snake trying to eat an elephant, except this fish pulls it off. The secret? It's got a stomach that can stretch like a rubber balloon. Imagine your stomach could pull so much that you could eat something more significant than your entire body. That's exactly what this fish does. Scientists have found black swallowers that died because they tried to eat fish so big that they started decomposing before the black swallower could digest them. But here's how it hunts, and this is the crazy part. It swims underneath its prey, which is usually way more significant than itself, and starts swallowing it from the tail up. Its special stretchy stomach keeps expanding and expanding as it works its way up the prey's body. Sometimes, these fish are so greedy that they try to eat prey so huge that they can't swim anymore. The weirdest part? When scientists find these fish floating dead on the surface, they're often full of fish that should have been impossible for them to eat in the first place. Talk about eyes being more significant than your stomach. 11th. Japanese spider crab. Meet the Japanese spider crab, the biggest crab that's ever existed. When I say big, I mean huge. This thing's legs can stretch more expensive than a car. We're talking about a leg span of up to 12 feet. That's like having a crab that could stretch across your entire living room. But size isn't even the craziest thing about these monsters. These crabs can live to be over 100 years old. That means there are spider crabs alive today that have been around since World War II. Some of them are probably older than your grandparents. In Japan, people call it Takashima Gani, believing these crabs bring good luck. But here's something wild. When these crabs are young, they decorate their shells with sponges and other sea creatures as a disguise. Imagine a giant crab playing dress-up. The mind-blowing part? Despite being as wide as a car, these crabs mostly eat dead stuff they find on the ocean floor. They're like giant underwater cleaning crews that just happen to look terrifying. And when they walk across the seafloor with those massive legs, they look like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Conclusion. What's mind-blowing about all these creatures is that they're just the ones we've found. Think about it. Every single one of these animals was utterly unknown at some point. The Megamouth Shark? Nobody knew it existed until 1976. The Bigfin Squid? We still barely have any footage of it, and that makes you wonder, what else is down there? Scientists estimate that millions of undiscovered species could still hide in our oceans. Just last month, they found new deep-sea creatures that they can't even classify yet. That's how strange they are. And remember, we've only explored 5% of our oceans. There's a whole world of mysterious creatures just waiting to be discovered. But here's the scary part. We might lose some of these incredible animals before we even discover them. Ocean pollution, climate change, and deep-sea mining threaten these creatures' habitats, and some might go extinct before we even know they exist. Speaking of incredible ocean creatures, in our next video, we will explore something even crazier. Deep-sea creatures that glow in the dark. Trust me, you won't want to miss that one. But now I'm curious, which of these mysterious creatures freaked you out the most? Was it the transparent-headed Barreleye Fish? Or maybe the Goblin Shark with its extending jaws? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos about the ocean's strangest creatures, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. A world of mysterious animals is waiting to be discovered, and we're just starting. Remember, every time you learn something new about these incredible creatures, you're uncovering just a tiny bit more of our ocean's mysteries. See you in the following video.